YouTube is filled with stories of success. People love sharing their big success stories. Very seldom do you hear someone tell their failures. In this video, I'm going to discuss of all the success that I've had in our industry. I'll tell you what industry I'm in a minute, but I'm going to do a case study on my biggest failure. Certainly, there was a lot to learn from my perspective. I think in life in general, we should talk more about the failures because the failures typically create the foundation upon which it launches the next stage of your life. It certainly did for me. My name's MarkLittle. I've been in the financial services industry since 1981, almost entirely in the retail financial services business, which is just a fancy way of saying that my job over the years has been to advise individuals and families, helping them coordinate their financial affairs. If I'm known in our industry at all, it's because I created something 25 years ago called Truly Comprehensive Financial Services. It's trademarked, but it's nothing more than a very clear description of what comprehensive financial services means. I defined it for my clients because the term meant different things to different people. So I defined it specifically and saw fabulous success. I talk on this channel quite a bit about the successes that I had even prior to truly developing truly comprehensive financial services, because even prior to that, I was the number one top producer at our nationwide firm when it came to acquiring clients and generating new revenue. Saw quite a bit of success. And after I developed this method called Truly Comprehensive Financial Services, I acquired more clients even faster than I had ever before. The measure of success for clients was client referrals. So I only considered Truly Comprehensive Financial Services successful to the extent that it drove an increasing rate of client referrals. For me, client referrals has always been a proxy for client satisfaction, in that clients would never refer you to the people that they care about unless they trusted you and they were satisfied with what you're doing for them. So I saw a lot of success, and most of the videos, all of the videos that I do on YouTube are about those various successes, because I think they're lessons that I learned along the way that can be a shortcut to other financial advisors, frankly, to a lot of professionals that are in the professional services industry. A lot of lessons to be learned. But today we're going to talk about something different. I'm going to talk about my biggest failure. In other videos, I've shared what I look for when I'm hiring a leader on my team. We've covered some of this, and I'll shortcut it. You can go hunt for other videos on this topic, but to summarize what I look for in a leader is head smarts, hunger, and humility. I actually got this decades ago from a well-known author, Pat Lencioni. This is my paraphrasing of his idea of what you should look for in a leader. He's a brilliant guy. He wrote The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which I think every leader of any team should read that book. But the big takeaway for me was, what are you looking for when you're building a team? Now, the reason it's relevant in this story of failure is because one of these three things that I look for was a problem. I think it's the biggest problem that anyone faces. So I thought it's worth chatting about. I look for head smarts. They've got to have the brains to do the job. That's in our industry, it's very seldom the problem. We have a lot of smart people in our industry. Typically, head smarts is not an obstacle. Hunger, now, believe it or not, that can be a big obstacle. When I'm looking for a leader on my team, and it's going to play a part in this story as well, I'm looking for someone that is actually hungry to accomplish what we're doing. So when I lay out the objective of the project or whatever it is, I'm looking for someone who's shows passion, someone who's excited, somebody who's hungry to get this done. It's important. And I'll tell you just quickly how it affects the business owner. So in my case, I work with very high-end financial advisors all over the world. These are among the best financial advisors anywhere in the English-speaking world. Most of them are earning 7, 8-figure business revenue annually. So these are successful people. Now, how hunger comes into play in my day-to-day work, which is consulting, mentoring these kinds of advisors, is many of them are not hungry. Not for any bad reason. They were hungry once upon a time when they were younger. They were hungry for whatever they're hungry for, success, or they were hungry to build a radically different financial advisory business so that they are the only game in town. Some were hungry for revenue. Money is a big motivator for some people. Others, they were hungry to create a lifestyle out of this business that we've got. So people define hunger in different ways. All I'm saying is I look for hunger, because without hunger in someone joining my team, what's the opposite of hunger? Complacency. So my position has always been, if you think you're going to come here and give it your mediocre best, go do that somewhere else. I'm looking for your A game. Welcome to the NFL. When you come to work on my team, this is a cut above. Expect to provide the best work you've ever provided for anyone on this team. So I'm looking for hunger for that reason. In my case, in this story, I was talked into doing a project that I wasn't hungry for, but the third thing, which is humility, got in the way. After I built my business, I made a decision, mainly because the right buyer came along, that I would sell that business. So I did, mainly because when you're selling a business like mine, you're looking for the buyer that's perfectly aligned with your thinking, so that this great thing that you've built, somebody doesn't come in and just destroy it after they buy it off of you. And so the right buyer came along. I sold the business. Just to tell a little bit of that story, he and I became friends. He was actually out buying businesses like mine. So he was in mergers and acquisitions, younger guy. He was like 10 years younger than me, but he was going around identifying businesses that he could persuade the owner to sell, but financial advisory businesses that were providing truly comprehensive financial services similar to what I was providing, although there's nothing actually equivalent, but that's was his goal. He was looking for firms that were providing comprehensive financial services, however they defined it. He had already purchased offices in 3 different states. So what ended up happening was I sold my business. Then he persuaded me that we would become business partners, that as he grew and we would acquire these businesses, my methodology would be perfect. You just buy a financial advisory business from a retiring financial advisor, come in, implement my method, ramp up service dramatically so that the clients aren't nervous that the old advisor's retiring and they're worried whether the new advisor's as good. Here we come in with my methodology. We substantially ramp up value. They start getting service that they've never thought of before. We're exceeding their expectations, maybe for the first time in many years. It was a really good match. He kept on his campaign to go identify other businesses of our type for sale so that we could bring them in to the fold. Ultimately, there were 11 offices in 9 different states. But the purpose of this story was my business partner came to me one day after we had sold my business, but we were negotiating how to partner up to grow this. He said, "Mark, I've bought a business in Chicago. Could I persuade you to go there and organize client acquisition?" I'm thinking, first of all, why would I want to do that? I'm sitting on all these millions of dollars that I had yielded from the sale of the business. So I was a little bit picky on the next project that I would choose. I explained to him, I'm a little bit tired. So I've been doing this for decades. I'd like to take a breather. The way I do it, it's easy, but it's time consuming. The idea of spending 20 hours a week on client acquisition using the method that I've always used just didn't appeal to me in the moment because I had been doing it for decades, ready for a break. And he said, no, we have a mutual friend who has a coaching program. He teaches a different way to acquire clients. He teaches a way to acquire clients through centers of influence. You would create some sort of an economic partnership with these centers of influence. Then you have mutual skin in the game. Once you partner up with a center of influence, that will bring in the clients. And I thought, that is interesting. All I know is the way that I acquire clients, and it's been quite successful. After all, I was number one top producer at my nationwide firm, not just a month or two. I don't know. When I hit number one, I was never toppled after that. That I was number one top producer a year to date forever until the broker dealer sold out to a big conglomerate, in which case I just left and went independent. Point is, I had been used to being number one top producer month after month, year after year for over a decade. I was very accustomed to success at client acquisition, but he encouraged me, my business partner. He said, it'll be fun. And I told him there's only like 3 programs nationwide that are built or designed, programs designed by the advisor who implemented it themselves. That's a problem in our industry. There's lots of coaching programs, lots of high-end coaching programs, but only 3 or 4 that are actually where you have the person teaching you has actually done it themselves. And he named one of the ones that I had in mind. It was a mutual friend of ours. I knew this guy for years. Matter of fact, I'd been rafting through the Grand Canyon with this guy and several other things. We used to go snow skiing together. I knew this guy quite well. Oh, by the way, these high-end coaching programs are roughly 6 figures per year. So when you count the fee that they charge, then the travel, the airfare, the hotels, you count it all together, it's 6 figures. What my business partner was proposing, why don't we both join it? Of course, I'm thinking 6 figures times 2. Do we really need to do this? But long story short, he made it sound fun. So I joined this 1-year program. Cost each of us like 6 figures. Come to find out, we were with a custodial securities clearing firm that actually had an arrangement with this coaching program. Turns out we were such high production at this custodian that they paid for half of it. So that's what really tipped me over the edge. The custodian said, we've hand selected like 20 of our top producers and we'll pay half and you guys just have to pay the other half. So we did it. 2 for 1 when we're just paying half. Anyway, so we joined for a year and I'm working with this coach who's done it himself, very accomplished guy. Not to mention, I knew his method worked. I knew over the years, I've been in the business for a long time. I met a couple of advisors, one in particular in Denver, really high-end financial advisor. He had implemented this guy's client acquisition method in Denver. And it worked fabulously. He had coordinated with centers of influence, in his case, CPAs. So he partnered up with CPAs, created an economic arrangement so that they both get compensated, and it just worked great for him. So in addition to me knowing the founder of the coaching program, I had references. I had people that had worked closely with him in his coaching program for a long time. Long story short, I agreed. I jumped on a plane, flew to Chicago, got a place to live, and I was committed. I built a team, a very small team, two individuals, very competent, very capable, really skilled, experienced people, mainly for administrative support. But there I was in Chicago, learning this new client acquisition methodology. I began implementing step by step. I'm a good implementer. So I started meeting with centers of influence, primarily CPAs, also estate planning attorneys, anyone that had already had clients of the type that we were seeking at our firm. I joined the estate planning council in Chicago. Anyway, long story short, I met a lot of people. I followed the process. After a year, I would say no luck. What was it that actually talked me into doing this? My lack of humility. Here I was at the beginning getting my arm gently twisted by my business partner to do this thing because we needed it. We needed somebody to lead up client acquisition in the new Chicago office. So I agreed because I was capable. I thought so. I thought I can do this. I can do anything. I know the coach. I know people who've implemented this guy's method. I'm tired acquiring clients the way I've always done it. This will be a nice break. But I was brazen. It was this lack of humility that drove me to say yes. It was this brazen thought that I've just created a multi-million dollar company. I've sold it. I'm king of the world. I can do anything. So I forgot for a minute to do the proper due diligence to investigate whether this method of client acquisition was actually perfectly aligned with I'm an introvert. I have call reluctance, but I ultimately said, I can do this. I can do anything. So I made commitments to my partner. I flew to Chicago. I was doing this for over a year, not working. So I did all people with lack of humility did. I changed who I was targeting. So instead of centers of influence, I switched to business owners. We're in Chicago. It's the worldwide headquarters for McDonald's. There got to be a lot of McDonald's franchise owners that are multimillionaires that we could work with. So we targeted them. I tried this for quite some time. Epic fail. If I'd had even a smidgen of humility, I would have been able to address up front the fact that this method may not be aligned with my personal skills. That, yes, I can do a lot. I could have acquired clients using my own methodology, but no, I got stubborn. I said yes to something before I fully understood what the skills required would be. I got into it, fully committed, lots of investment of time and money and everything else for me to do this project, hired a team and the whole bit, only to find out that my lack of humility was a blind spot. I allowed for that year to let my feeling that I could do anything overcome reality. What's the takeaway here? It's to realize that you need to look at your own three elements: head smarts, hunger, humility. And if any of those three are not in place, this is going to be a problem if your objective is to build a successful business. So I'm going to assume you have the head smarts. Do you have the hunger? So I was just talking to an advisor yesterday who we had trained in my client acquisition methodology. He was frustrated because he wasn't acquiring ideal clients quickly enough. I said, I can show you how I did this, like my method, which I know works because I implemented it and I've implemented it through lots of other advisors, but I can teach this in 12 weeks. You'll be up and running in 12 weeks. You will have mastered my method of doing this. And yes, it's easy, but it is time consuming. So I need your full undivided attention for 12 weeks, but you put yourself under my supervision for 12 weeks, not the whole week. I need you 20 hours a week. So half the week, but you'll have acquired an ideal client in 12 weeks and you'll know how to ramp up the skill so that you could be acquiring clients, whatever your goal is. You want one every month, one every month and a half or whatever. You'll be at that point after 12 weeks. And I guarantee the results. So this is the one thing that I do in our program that I don't know any other programs in our industry that will guarantee the outcome, but I do because I've seen it work. So where did this big failure end up being a launching pad for the next phase? After about a year, I realized that I had really screwed up, that I had allowed my blind spot of lack of humility to get me into something that was not fair to my business partner, not fair to anybody on our team or anything. When it went belly up, I explained to my team that that what I need to be doing is I need to go back and validate whether my method of acquiring clients, the one that I used successfully, that launched me from worst in the company up to the number one top producer slot at our company, I need to spend time validating whether my method is replicatable by other advisors. And so I need to be investing the next 6 months or a year, bringing advisors who are ready, willing, and able, who really want to acquire clients. And that's the problem, that they are facing. They're not acquiring clients, and I need to get them under my wing just to see if my method of acquiring clients actually works with other people. So, yes, that was the year of 2007. We already knew that my client service methodology was the only comprehensive financial services method that's being trained anywhere in the world in terms of exactly what to do to consistently exceed client expectations. That's client service. What I didn't know in 2007 was whether or not the method that I used that was so successful at acquiring ideal clients, if it worked with other advisors. So beginning in 2007, I took the time rather than try to go out and do something I know nothing about and be all cocky about it and then spectacular fail. I spent the next few months working with advisors who were highly motivated, good at what they do, but they just weren't acquiring enough clients. I confirmed that this method that I use indeed works with other advisors. I have spent my life since 2007 sharing this with other advisors that are in that boat. They either know how to deliver high-end service to clients or they've implemented my method. One way or the other, they have happy, satisfied clients. Their referral rate is quite high. But the problem is finding new clients from the outside in a situation where they don't have enough ideal clients currently to generate enough referrals to meet their goals. In that situation where you need to bring in clients from the outside, don't have enough internal clients yet to generate enough referrals to make the business grow, but I could, in 12 weeks, guarantee that an advisor will master the skill that as long as they do the work, it'll work for them. So my biggest fail ended up being the catapult to the next big phase of my life. It helped me turn the page to a more productive and valuable change in my career to, in essence, pay it forward, to take what has worked so well for me and train the next generation of financial advisors to succeed. The way I define success with clients is consistently exceeding their expectations as measured by client referrals. So that's success for every advisor I work with. And when it comes to client acquisition, it's a little bit different. Client acquisition success should be measured by dollars. Are you growing year over year in terms of your new revenue growth, your new client acquisition? And if you are, then the question is, how much do you need to grow? At that point, ball's in your court. You get to set the goal. You get to define what success is in terms of actual dollars and cents. But that's a really nice place to be. I'm paying it forward to show advisors how to deliver service to their clients in a way that they're consistently exceeding their expectations. And until they have enough clients to generate ample referrals to hit their revenue goals, I'm happy that I can show younger advisors who are not quite at that stage yet how to just go out in the community and rub elbows with enough people, not using any sales tactic. I'm talking about introverts like me, how to go out and acquire clients out in the community without doing anything uncomfortable or doesn't involve any call reluctance problems because there are no calling. But in any event, that's the failure. I wanted to share that, share the takeaways, epic fail, but you learn from your failure. As a matter of fact, that's all business ever is. It's learning from one failure and failing forward. It's definitely the story of my life. I hear from time to time, oh, MarkLittle's amazing. And then I heard an advisor one time actually respond to that in a way that made me laugh. And I said, that's true. He was explaining to a friend that the most amazing thing about MarkLittle is there's nothing amazing about MarkLittle. He just fails and learns from his failures. And that's truly the story of my career. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.